Oh, man, I get a hoot every time I hear that tune because that means it's time for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm so pleased to be here. This is the chats edition of the show, but we also have a forums episode every Monday night here on YouTube live at 7:30 Eastern. I've got the best freaking job in the world. I'm just hanging out here talking poker with my friends on the Rec Poker Podcast. So thanks for joining us, folks. We're going to talk to Rob Perelman in just a moment, but first I have to mention that we're brought to you by Running Aces. They are the official sponsor of the Rec Poker Podcast, and most of what we do here is free. We're a largely volunteer-based organization, so we really depend on support from our sponsors and from our premium members who take part in our training material and study opportunities for only $22 a month. And I got a few new premium members to thank Karen Boyd, Sarah Choi, and Colette Rankin. Thank you so much for kicking in your membership. It makes a huge difference to what we do here. And I just know you're going to enjoy some of the fantastic training material and study opportunities that we have. So look forward to getting together with me at some point over the next little while because I meet all our premium members one-on-one to kind of walk them through the site and the community. And I'm looking forward to meeting you, Karen, Sarah, and Colette. That's very cool. So everyone can always get their premium membership for $22 a month. If you want to use the code RecPoker, you can get your first month for only $5. And if even that sounds like a lot of money, we love supporting local food banks. So I'll just remind anyone, if you support a local food bank with any amount and send us the receipt, we'll happily credit you with a free month of premium membership here at RecPoker. And of course, most of the fun starts here with a free account where all it takes is an email address and a smile, although we do insist on both. So head on over to rec.poker and find some ways to get involved over there. Now, they let me host the show on Monday, but I'm only one man, and it takes a group, a gang, a village, a crew to make all the magic happen around here. We call our group of wizards the Wrecking Crew because we're all huge dorks and we like puns. If you want to learn more about me or the rest of the crew, head on over to rec.poker/crew. Or you can just listen up because you're going to meet a few of them right here tonight, starting with producing co-host John Somsky.
I'm John Somsky, also known as Poker Geek MN everywhere. And when I'm not producing the podcast, I'm trying to make sure our home games run.
And my name is Joe Kulas. You can find me at Joe Cool PhD, cool with a K. You can find me most often on Blue Sky these days, but I still maintain a presence on Twitter just for advertising capabilities. My role is I run the PsyOps workshop, and that helps you understand cognitive processing, cognition, and how it's going, and psychological concepts that are going to impact your game on the poker felt. And stick around for the end of the show. Jim always calls it the boring part, or maybe that was Rob that called it the boring part. But we have an exciting announcement that every poker fan is going to want to hear and want to know where they can participate.
It's true. We got some cool stuff coming up at the end. Rob Washam, though, we'd be remiss without hearing from you first.
Yeah. And I'm Rob Washam. You can find me as Rabman50 just about everywhere. And on the first and third Wednesdays of every month, you can join me and a bunch of our premium members as we discuss the latest poker strategy book.
That's right. Rob's been rocking the book study for several years now, and you can meet just a few of our Wrecking Crew members here tonight. But go to rec.poker/crew. You'll see a bunch of smiling faces, all enthusiastic folks just looking to help you with your poker game. So I hope you go and check that out. But you're not here for us. You're here for the guest. I am super excited for this. It's the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Rob Perelman. So, Rob, let's just start right off with the platitudes. Thank you so much for coming on the Rec Poker Podcast.
Oh, no, thank you so much for having me. I know we talked about this over the summer, and I'm happy to finally make it happen.
Yeah, man, for sure. Me too. So if folks don't know, and how could you? Rob and I were playing in the World Series of Poker together this summer. We were playing in one of the bracelet events because we have great lives and we're the luckiest guys ever. And I just found this really fun character, one seat to my right. And we started talking about hot dogs and are they sandwiches and other fun stuff like that. And I was like, I like this guy. And then I got to know you better. It's like, you actually have a fascinating story. You've worn a lot of hats in the poker industry. I was like, we got to get this guy on the show. So I guess two questions. Did I sum up our meeting correctly? And if our audience doesn't know who you are, how would you define your own role in the poker world?
Yeah, you summed it up very well. And actually, there's a point that I don't even know if you know about me. my whole kind of career started with RecPoker, the original RGP news group.
Oh,
What happened was I just discovered poker and I was playing a little bit, and I was a nerd like you guys, and I was playing a little. We had a little home game from RGP, and the guy that was running the leaderboard, I messaged him. I said, "Hey, you're running this leaderboard, this website with all these points. If you ever need help, I'm a programmer." And he goes, "Oh, actually, I make poker television. If you ever want to come help out." And then that's how it started. He invited me up. I live in San Diego. He invited me up to LA to work on GSN, I think Poker Pros versus Comedians or something like that. And the rest was history. I've been working in poker TV for 20 something years, and it all started from RGP.
that's amazing. Yeah, we people ask us from once every once in a while, like, is it related to the rec.gam or is it rec.gambling.poker,
Yeah.
whatever that one was back in the day. We don't have any actual overlap of
Oh,
personnel, but I like to think that we have like we're like the spirit animal
yeah.
continues because that was a cool
I
membership.
thought for sure it was a next generation of that. My mistake.
No, no, I love it because like they're not around anymore. And
Right.
a few people have mentioned that we're kind of like carrying the torch a little bit, I think, which I like to think because that connection to those like the real pioneer days of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So basically, you're saying you're old. Am I
I'm
reading
I'm
that
I'm
correctly?
very old, but I try to pretend like I'm not, and you know, keep a yummy haircut and drink a lot. Speaking of which, I'm gonna crack my Lone Star now if you guys don't mind. I
Perfect.
live in Texas, so
Gotta
represent.
be. Yeah, that's right. As I mentioned earlier, before we went live, I'm fasting right now because I have a blood test in the morning. But otherwise, I would have a Molson or a Grolsch in my hand to cheer you on. But it's
Yeah.
just boring old water for me. But I applaud your
Right.
spirit.
Cheers.
Um, Cheers, indeed. So, all right, so perfect. So you've already, what a pro. You've already segued into your poker story. So you enjoyed the game. You got in touch with the leaderboard guy. That got you into creating sort of poker television. Feel like that was a long time ago for you. What happened? Like, what has led to today? It feels like you're very plugged into a lot of the like TV and stream scene, the studio side of poker. What's your current role, and what's like a day in the life of Rob Perelman?
It's very strange because it changes year to year, I guess you'd say. So I worked in poker television. That was like 2003 when we started. And we were like the only game in town at that point running. We were doing statistics for all the shows. So we had software that would do the graphics and everything that now is commonplace didn't exist. We custom built it. We custom built RFID cards. We had all that. We were the pioneers of all that technology. And we did high stake poker, poker after dark, NBC Heads Up. Then we started doing World Series of Poker. So a lot of years logged before it became the norm to have streams. We were like the only ones doing it. It wasn't really streaming; it was posted shows. Occasionally, we did live shows too. Um, we worked on almost every TV show in America. There was obviously ones that were happening in Europe that we weren't part of, and it kind of all went down the drain when UIGA came out in 2011. We had a weekly show called the Poker Dome we were doing that got pulled. Pretty much every other show that we were doing got pulled, and that's when I went into like pro poker mode and I started playing kind of for a living, even though I was already kind of playing part time. And I got very lucky to win a really big tournament in 2011, Heartland Poker Tour. Right, it was January, and then UIGA happened in April, so I had a nice little cushion there. And then 2012, I kind of got bored of the game and quit, and
Hmm.
didn't do anything really. I dabbled here and there in TV as it came back. But they wanted me to move back to Vegas and go to Poker Go Studios, and I wasn't interested. So yeah, kind of got out of the scene and quit poker for a while, and then kind of just came back last few years and have been playing more and more here in Texas and at the World Series.
That's very cool. So it's interesting to have this whole arc with you. So you were a poker fan first, like a player, you enjoyed it, got into the industry, um, had a successful professional life, and then like so many people, like life changed on Black Friday. And so I see Joseph's got a question here. My first question to you is what 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 am I trying to ask here? Like emotionally speaking, what's your relationship to the game of poker as someone who used to do it for a living, stepped away from it, and now sort of like are you still hungry to learn the game? Do you still love playing
No,
poker?
no. I say constantly when I'm playing poker, I'm like, this is so stupid. my two pieces of paper are better than your two pieces of paper. And no, I've lost my love for the game a long time ago. I don't find it that fun. Which speaks to the point that we were talking about earlier. Hold'em, I think it's just incredibly boring now. I play tournaments. I think I'm good at them. I think I'm okay at cash games, probably better at tournaments because I have more experience. But it's just so boring, and you just sit there and wait, and then you get in queens against Ace King and whatever. It's like, so I started playing PLO a couple years ago, and I find that a little more interesting to play. And I don't really study it. I just kind of like to play the hours and learn by experience. So I've done okay at PLO, and then since moving to Texas, double board bomb pots have been a huge thing, and I've kind of focused on that the last 6 months of the year. There's a couple places in town that run all bomb pots, and so I played a lot of bomb pots. I plan to start a YouTube and Instagram channel about that, not just about only bomb pots. And yeah, it's been fun.
That's so cool. So we're going to talk to Rob about some double bomb pot PLO strategy closer to the end of the show. I just want to remind our YouTube audience, thanks for tuning in live. One of the perks is that you get to participate in the show here. So if you have any questions for Rob, please type them into the YouTube chat. I also need some recommendations, some suggestions of folks that we can play stake, study, stack with and put Rob in the blender later in the show. And I also want to remind our folks that stick around after the interview. We're going to give away a fantastic prize to one of our raffle winners who take part in our food bank raffle. And finally, if you want to support what we're doing here at Rec Poker, you can go to rec.poker/support. But you can also make a donation right here through the YouTube chat, and we share a portion of all YouTube donations with a local food bank. So I hope you do if you're so inclined. So yeah, get those questions in and we'll make sure that we ask them of Rob. Joe Kulas, you had your hand raised earlier. What's on your mind?
Well, I did. I was actually going to ask about the concept of peak was a peak rec player, and the fact that Robbie Straczynski had quoted you as saying that you actually didn't like the game very much. So I'm going to switch gears since Jim already asked that, and I mean I don't think that people really see how broad your career is. I mean, your LinkedIn page says that you created the first website for Blink 182. How did that come about?
Yeah, so it's funny because I always say I'm like the Forrest Gump of I jumped all these careers, I've had all these trajectories, and they're like everybody's like, wait, what? You did this, you did this. Yeah, when I was 16 years old, I had a VHS compilation of all these music videos that I taped off MTV, and people started borrowing this video, and they were really interested. I said, maybe I can make this video originally. And so I got all these bands' music videos, and one of them was Blink 182 when they were just starting out. It was their like first record. And a friend of mine did all the graphic for it, and I did the website and just to advertise the VHS. And we came up with this great website when nobody had graphics. It was all just like text-based websites. And he goes, we should need a website for our band. I go, okay, who? He's like, well, you talked to Blake with this video. They kind of doing good. Let's go chat with them. And I went to Mark, the bassist. I said, hey, do you guys want a website? And he goes, what's that? And I had to explain to him what a website was because it was so neat. It's like 1996. I'm like, everybody's going to have one, and it's going to be a thing you just need to have as a band. He's like, wow, let's do it. And then we made a website and, worked with them for a couple of years. I toured with bands for a while before. That's actually how I found poker. If you really want to back it up, I did a couple tours, and in between tours, I was at home just sitting there, and all my friends were working, and my friend showed me Golden Palace Poker. They had free sit and goes with 5 cent, 3 cent, and 2 cent prizes. So I used to just grind the sit and goes, not having any idea what to do, and just building a bankroll from literally zero. And I turned that into like $1 and played a multi-table tournament, won like $25. So I literally started with zero in poker. But it was all just killing time between tours.
I find it fascinating when we talk about a lot of poker players, particularly people who've been in the field, is that you're taking this non-traditional route, right? It's not like get job, get house, stay in house, build wealth, and then retire at some point. And in fact, our previous guest last week also had a similar path where she was just like staying all over the place and talked about staying in Thailand. And I believe you stayed in Budapest for a while, doing the cheap living in order to make things work. And so I'm a psychologist, and what I'm always interested in is what drives somebody to essentially reject the basic premise of what most people see as the American dream or the Canadian dream, maybe not the Canadian dream, but the American dream, like the house, the family, and the stability that comes along to say, you know what, no, I'd rather do these 55 different things. Why do you think that you're attracted to that?
Oh man, that's an excellent question. I love the way that's phrased in a very psychological way. Um, I don't know, to be honest. I had a couple jobs when I was like 18 years old, and I never liked working for somebody else. Now, obviously, working in poker television, I was working for somebody else, but it was like the jobs were contract jobs, so most of it was like, hey, do you want to work this? Do you want to work this? And it was my choice whether to work it. And I just love the freedom and the flexibility. And through touring and the beginning of my poker television career, I discovered that I love traveling. So for me, it was a way to travel. And they're like, okay, you're going to do this show. And then a month later, we have this show, and like a month in between. And that's when I started spending a lot of time in Budapest and in Europe because they would fly me over. We did World Series in Paris and in London. And they'd fly us over for like a week. And I'm like, wait, you're flying me all the way here. I want to like check it out. And so I'd stay for a couple of weeks after, and it would cost me nothing in the flights because I'm already there. And so I started traveling more and more. And basically, anytime they sent me to Europe, I would just stay for the maximum amount of time until the next show in America or Australia or wherever it was.
Do you ever feel like, so I often talk to people about, when you go through one door, right? If you choose to be vagabond, you can't be stay at home. Do you ever look back at that other door and say, huh, sometimes I wish I had that stability, the feeling of like knowing where the next 10 years is going to be?
No. I do. Something I did here in Weston now is because I wanted some of that stability. When UIGA happened and I won that tournament, and then the next year I said, I'm kind of done with poker right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a job. So I got rid of my house in Vegas and I started traveling, and I thought it was going to be a few months, maybe a year. It ended up being 4 years where I just had no home base. And from 2012 to 2016, I was just on the road living out of a suitcase. And at some point I was just like, I'm tired, man. I just want to like wake up and press the Keurig button on my coffee machine and, have my electric toothbrush plugged in the bathroom and not have to top it up every day. And so that's kind of like I moved back and I have that somewhat of that stability, but I still do like I go to Europe for a month twice a year now. But I have this home base and I feel like I'm throwing away money renting an apartment where I'm not even staying, 2 months of the year. But it is nice to have all those things of, comforts at home, things and stuff on the wall behind me.
It's a fascinating story. Hopefully you'll write it down sometime in terms of the experiences that you've had. So
Yeah,
thank
sure.
appreciate you being honest.
Absolutely. I'm always honest, and I tell stories about this and that, and I kind of just don't live by regrets. A story I always tell is I didn't go to prom, I didn't go to graduation in high school. I was like, I'm just not feeling it, and I think it was my mom was like, "Aren't you going to regret it?" And I was like, "No, because this is what I want to do right now." So I kind of live in the now. Whatever I want to do today, tomorrow, if I want to just like get rid of all my possessions and go back on the road for 4 years, I'll do it. Today I'm staying here, and we'll see what happens.
Very good.
I've got one question here from the YouTube chat. Midwest 1811 says, "What did Binions smell like in June
Oh,
2007 when you won
oh,
first place in the first annual Binions Poker Classic 150 buy-in?"
God, I remember those. Those were such happy times for me. So this is like, yeah, I think he's talking about my first five-figure win. I won 10K in a Binions tournament there. I was the king of Binions. I'm just gonna say, I would when I was not making poker shows, my schedule was wake up at like 6 p.m., go downtown and go back and forth between Binions and the Plaza. And they both had like $100 daily tournaments that lasted like 4 hours. So little play, but they were so bad at poker that I would like win a tournament a day. And I would go back and forth, back and forth. At 2 a.m., would take a break and get done on steak and eggs at like, I don't even know, four queens maybe. And then I'd go through my day at like 4 a.m. 6 a.m., go home. And then sometimes I did a breakfast buffet from the Red Rock casino hotel. And oh yeah, it was amazing. I love Binions. And funny enough, the tournament director at Binions, I don't know if you know this, is Paul Campbell, who's now like the TV of the world at Aria. And we started out, he was running my $100 tournaments. He'd see me like every day. And yeah, that tournament. What did it smell like? Oh my God. It smelled like cigarettes and desperation and God, like coffee and shrimp cocktail, I guess. Playing there was amazing. I don't think everyone play at Binions, but like all the dealers never ever left. So every dealer that was there was like 100 years old and would tell stories about the like 1984 World Series of Poker, dealing with Doyle and crazy. They all have the most amazing stories, and they're just lifers. I don't know. I think the poker was done, but it was amazing to play there for a while.
That's awesome. Um, So let's talk about your job right now, or let's say like the role that you sort of typically play in your work. What's one thing that you really enjoy about it, that you genuinely look forward to?
What work are we talking about? I'm not doing no work now.
Well, that sounds pretty nice then.
Yeah.
But like, what do you do? Let's talk a little bit about your actual like duties in a production sense. Like you talked about like
Yeah.
li lining up the cards, the graphic stuff, and like
So yeah, we're
what's the
talking
fun
about
part about it?
for television poker. So I worked last summer. I did the main event. With that the last thing I did, and if they call me and they say, "Hey, we have something else," but they've hired a whole new crew, and so I'm kind of out of the game completely. World Series
Mm,
is special because they cover three tables and they need so many people, and they only have like a normal Poker Go studio is one table being covered, so they have that covered. I'm happy they called me up tomorrow and said, "Hey, you want to come do this event?" I would come do it, but there's nothing on the books right now. I do go in every summer to World Series. I think, the most experience pretty much of running this stuff. I really enjoy it. The biggest thing for me is I spent so many years watching, and I'll tell a funny story to illustrate this. On one of the first shows, that GSN show up in LA that I worked, I met Phil Law for the first time. And he's like, "It's so cool. You get to watch all the cards and to see all the pros and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's awesome. Like, what better education do you have than sitting there and watching high stakes poker with, Phil Ivey and four barrel bluffing them, and you get to watch how they're reacting and what they're, and I don't even know the thing I'm talking about where they're like four barrels Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey's got ace high and he makes a pair of fives in the river and he's tanking. And I go, he's not tanking because of his play. He thinks ace high is good. And I was just like in their minds and getting to see everything. So, but the World Series of Poker, obviously, you see some terrible stuff the first few days. People don't know what they're doing. But when you get to the end, you get to really play high level and you can put yourself in their shoes and go, wow, what would I do in in this situation with this hand, facing this direction? Of course, you see the cards. I know what everybody has, but in real time, you're like, is he going to do this? And then for me, as a poker player that I'm playing now, I'm always watching. I'm big on like on you reading people, talking to people. So when I'm working, I'm always watching mannerisms and the guy's bluffing. I'm studying his mannerisms to see if I can get anything that I can use in my game at home. Oh, he did this, or what did this mean? Did it mean something? He tanked for like a minute and a half and then raised. So maybe that type of stuff really helps me out.
nice. So let's talk a little more about sort of PLO and playing. We've got a question here from the RRCCC. What is your favorite PLO book? Do you have a favorite?
Oh man, it was funny. So when I got sick of Hold'em like 3 years ago, and I was like, maybe I'll just play PLO. I downloaded Jeff Wang's book. I blank on the title. I had it in my library. I think I met him years ago, and he gave me the book, so I just had it sitting here. So I downloaded on my Kindle and actually bought into the game, not having any idea what I was doing other than just knowing cards. And I'm reading the book while I'm playing. And after about 40 pages, I kind of put the book aside. So I was like, I get it. If you play enough poker in life and play different games, you kind of just like understand like how to move forward. Of course, there's things that aren't going to get, but like hand selection is kind of like intuitive to me. So I just kind of played it, put the book aside. I actually want to read the other one now that I watch all the PLO series at Poker Go Studios. The guy who's doing commentary, I forget his name too, but I downloaded his book. I'm going to try to read that at some point. But I've been so busy doing other things that I haven't had a chance. But yeah, again, for me, it's all about let me just play and let me make mistakes myself and see what I've done wrong or watch somebody else's mistakes and, go off that.
Maybe this one.
That's the one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Game manager.
Fernando. Yeah. That's I'm very much a Hold'em player, but
Yeah.
we've made a real emphasis
Well,
over
you're
here.
barely a Hold'em player. Let's be honest.
So true. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Um, okay, but what I was gonna say before you so savagely cut me out at the knees there, was that like PLO feels like sort of the friendly game for Hold'em players who are looking to expand their repertoire and to play more mixed games. PLO seems to be like the next step into the mixed game thing. Do you have any tips specifically for Hold'em players that are maybe just starting out in pot limit Omaha and how they can like avoid making some of the early mistakes that a lot of
I
common that are
mean,
common to new players?
yeah, the biggest mistake is the hand rankings, the hand values are different. So like bottom set in PLO is not a good hand. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not saying you should be holding that, but that is not a hand to be betting, raising, or even worse, slow playing. When the flop comes, Jack 10-7, like there's probably a straight out there depending on the action, how many players are in the pot, and hopefully you're not worried about that. There's going to be 8-9, so you're not worried about that. So that I see a lot of players overvaluing over players, bottom sets, bad straights or bad flushes. It's a game of like kind of making the nuts. And in bomb pots even more so. But yeah, in regular PLO, like you want to have the nuts, and if you don't have the nuts, you better be pretty cautious and aware of what's going on and aware of the other players. But that's probably the biggest mistake I see. Somebody's like barreling off with aces, and you're like, "What are you doing?" It's like I have top set.
So it's interesting. So we'll start talking about bomb pots here. So I think for most Hold'em players, our only real familiarity with PLO double board bomb pots will be on dealer changes in our Hold'em games. And so this is fairly common. Some places we'll just do one hand, and the only real rule is make sure to tip your dealer. uh, but it seems like a complete departure from a lot of the like normal poker learning that we go into as Hold'em players because A, everyone gets to the flop. There's no opportunity to fold, so ranges are super wide. Plus, with four cards in your hand, like as you pointed out earlier, like it's a lot easier to intersect strongly with different boards. So the absolute strength of your hand matters a lot more. Um, so what's so cool about this? What's fun about it? What do you love about it so much?
Well, the thing I love about it is that most people are not good at these games,
Ha!
and they come from a
Yes.
hold'em, and so they if you're playing hold'em and you raise, they're gonna throw away. I mean, maybe they're not, but they're gonna throw away like the jack deuce. Here they can't throw it away. They're forced to see the flop, and then they start making the mistakes because they're in the flop and they're like, oh, I have jack deuce, and the flop is jack three deuce, and they're going, I have two pair and I have this. You're like, no, 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 you should be folding that hand, even though you're stuck there. So for me, I like it because it forces the bad players to make poor decisions. There's a new poker room in Austin called Pecans Free Social, and we've been playing a lot of like just all bomb pots at the end of the night. We're playing like every hand rather than we start on dealer change, but then in Texas is usually a button, and we do it once in orbit. And then when you really want to degen it, you just do every hand bomb pot. So we played a lot of bomb pots, and yeah, like I've said years ago, I wanted to write a book about it because I feel like I understand it more than so many people, and I get in these conversations about certain hands and what you should do with them, and most of the time they go, "Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. That you're right. You shouldn't be doing this." And it's not intuitive. I don't think there's like very little like there's no book on it. I'm pretty sure about that. There are some videos, I guess you can pay thousands of dollars to get access to. But nobody's really breaking down strategy. And even though like the bloggers that I've seen, post videos of it, it's usually like a session of Hold'em with an interesting bomb pot hand, but they're inexperienced too. So they're talking about it. I'm going, no, 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 no. You should be not be potting it here. So yeah, I created a channel called Oops All Bomb Pots on Instagram, and I'm going to try to do like, fun with some strategy. That's the idea. We'll see if I get around to it. The account's there if you want to follow it, but we haven't done a video yet.
All right, fun with some strategy. That sounds
Yeah.
familiar. That feels like that
Yeah.
would be a great fit with our audience. So we'll make sure to put a link in the show notes as well, so folks can click on over to that and subscribe for when the videos start flowing. So I won't make you give it all away for free here, Rob. But what are a lot of people doing wrong when they're playing these PLO double board bomb pots, and what are some easy adjustments that
Oh,
new players might be able to make?
I don't even know if I have an answer that's general enough. Like everyone's like hand specific. Can I give like a
Hmm.
hand from yesterday?
Yeah, sure.
Is that okay? So I played a bomb pot last night at Pecan Street Social, and a buddy of mine is in the game, and he's a good player, and he's newish to bomb pots. And I'm trying to see if I can remember the hand. He has Ace Jack 10 X and Jack 10 of Hearts, and the bottom board is King 8-9 with two hearts. So he has, and actually it's 8-9 of hearts. So he has an open-ended straight flush draw. On the other board, it was Jack 10-8. So he's got top two, and he's got an open-ended straight flush shot. And it checks the hand, and he beats it. I'm behind him by 9-7. So I have a set and a straight. So I repot it. Another guy behind him repots it. And he ends up folding. He told me what he had. And I go, that's not a pot. He's like, I have top two and a straight flush draw. I go, your immediate hand right now is top two on a straight board, which is not great. And on the other board, you have Jack Henry, which is not great. So like his mid hands are not good. I would check through with that hand, but I wouldn't play it because look, the worst thing happened. He got two pots behind me. It's to fold the hand. You don't even have flush draw. You only have an open and a straight shot, and I feel like you can have it. And on the other board, it's Jack 10-8, and somebody probably has a straight, and they did. I had the straight. And so that was like, it was a good thing. I go, I wouldn't even bet that. I wouldn't even bet my hand with second set and the second nut straight. I wasn't going to bet it. I might have check raised it, but it's pointless to bet it because I think Joe's going to call you, and it could be up against the better straight. So it's weird. It's like everything changes based on what happens up until then. What I say is position doesn't matter, like the value doesn't matter in a bomb pot. It only matters what happens in the hand. Because he was semi right and he potted it, my decision changed. If he would have checked it, I would have checked. But because he bet it, I potted it, if that makes sense. And that's like a very strange example of him to walk through because he was over there on my right and he made the decision, but like his hand looks good, but isn't even that good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it is like as you say, it is very counterintuitive because like your buddy, I would have looked down at that situation and be like, okay, like I feel very good about my hand here. So part of that's just not being familiar with like the hand values of PLO, and then part of it is again sort of the nature of the double board bomb pot stuff and people getting there with kind of those wacky ranges. Um, how important is it to have like both boards strongly covered versus just having like a really strong hand on one board?
I mean, that's also an interesting one because there's like back in the day, I had like three different scenarios, and it's like medium strength hand is good. The nuts and nothing is good. So like you don't have to have both boards, but you have to play it differently. So in this hand, I said last night, I have a set of nines on one board, which is the second nuts, and I have the top straight, which is the second nuts. And these are good hands, but you want to play it differently based on like in that spot, I would have slow played it because I have a very good hand. But because he did it, I want to pot now and get it heads up because there's a card draw. And I want to make sure, drop 10-8. If ace comes on the and king queen gets there, so I can't really slow play the straight, and the bottom is something I can't slow play that either. Um, so in that situation, I had both hands. But let's say the example is Jim 10-8 and the bottom board is whatever. I don't need anything. I have, let's say, queen nine. So I have the top straight. I have the nuts on that board, but a straight, you're not usually win by the river. So again, you don't want to fast play that board even with the nuts because the nuts is just a straight. If you have like quads, now you want to be blasting it with quads because you want to get folds from the other board if you have no coverage on the other board. So it really depends because how strong your hand is on one board. If you have a really, really good hand, then you don't care about missing the other board. You're trying to put pressure on them to fold and scoop the whole thing. And if they come, you're getting half of it.
Nice. I'm getting some note that we're having a little trouble with your mic. I don't know. We'll just sort of keep on
Oh,
going, but in case sit a little closer or something, maybe we'll see
okay.
what we can do. Um, and then what made you decide? So launching a channel, that's like a completely different thing. This is like just you on your own, working from home. Like what's it like being in a less polished like studio environment?
Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't done it yet. I've tried to like coming from TV, I try to like I think I have a good eye for it. And so I've seen some vloggers and I go, I think I could do as good or better. I feel like a lot of the vloggers is very formulatic and they do the, oh boom, and they have the graphics and explosion. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I've come from TV. I've seen how it can look. I don't know if I can pull it off as a one person team, but I've always loved video editing, so it's a good challenge for me to make these videos, play these hands, and there's hands where I walk away and go, "Did I do everything right? Did I do it wrong?" And I'm analyzing it myself. And so, what better way than to like make a video where I talk through what I was thinking, why I did it, and I'm not saying any of this is right. I could be wrong about this hand last night where the guy had the open and straight flush shot. I mean, it's just my opinion that he should have checked it. And so, you know, I'll post this. I'm sure I'll get a bunch of haters. Oh, you're an idiot. I would never fold this hand. But I mean, that's good too. Like, I mean, nobody's right yet. Like, it's not a solved game by any stretch. So, if I can explain my thinking, maybe people will learn from it. Some people maybe they'll educate me. Who knows?
I love that. We're getting some good comments here in the YouTube chat. We're going to get very close to the end of the show here. So if you have any more questions for Rob, please get them into the YouTube chat, and then we'll be playing Stake Study Stack and closing the action shortly. Rob, one of the questions I always ask are more seasoned vets of the game, like yourself. You've played in a lot of card rooms around the country. You've played like a mix of cash and tournaments. Um, I need a very specific answer from you for this, okay? So
Okay.
you're playing cash. It's in a casino that has a bad beat or a high hand jackpot. You're in the small blind, and you have the kind of hand that normally you would like to play to see if you can beat the jackpot. Is there like a code word that you say to the person to your left to indicate to them that you're not going to chop this time, but you actually think that you should play this hand? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Um, there's not a code word, but I'm a degen. I want to play all my hands, so I'm not chopping the blinds. It's just not the only way I'm chopping the blinds is if like there's a whale and he's like, I really want to chop, and I'm like, okay, like I'll do whatever you want to do. But I'm here to play poker. I don't care if it's just the blinds. We're different too in Texas. We don't have rake, so there's no incentive to chop.
Mm.
We can play. So I'm playing all my hands. I'm there to play poker. I'm fine playing out of position in the small blind. So my code word is raise. I raise it.
My code word is raise. I love that. And
Yeah.
just to be perfectly clear, you've never heard of any other like code word or expression that someone might use if they're because you can't say out loud, "Oh, let's try and beat the bad beat jackpot or make the high hand jack," because
Yeah.
the casino won't. Will put the kibosh on it. But have you ever heard of anything like that? Last question, I swear.
No, yeah, I mean, I've actually heard dealers here because I know Lodge has a bad beat here in Austin, and people have said, "Oh, I have a hand, I have a bad beat hand," and then we play or whatever, and then like the dealer's like, "Yeah, that would invalidate it. You can't say like I have a bad beat hand." So, just like limp in and like look at the guy and be like, I call," and hopefully they get the message, I guess.
Okay. Joe Kulas, did you have something there?
Yeah, Jim's just hungry, because he's got a fast, so he's thinking about a hamburger, which
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. I see.
cheeseburger. Cheeseburger is
Yeah.
the code that I'm familiar with in that spot. And I swear to
For
God, other
real?
people have heard of it. Yes, but just
Where
no
did that
one
come
that's ever
from?
been on the show apparently. I picked it up in I picked it up in the Midwest, but I've
Okay.
heard it in various spots, like geographically, many different spots around the world.
he was
Um,
Fuddruckers at the time. I don't think that quite.
I mean, if you keep interviewing guests and you keep telling them that cheeseburger is the code word, eventually you'll hit everybody in the world and we'll all know.
Okay, well, you're
Yeah.
really outing me now.
Yeah.
That's basically what I'm doing at this point. This started
Yeah.
as a friendly wager with Chris Jones, but he's
Right.
won like 21 to 1 in his favor because none of y'all know what a freaking cheeseburger code word is. So fine.
How many times
Fine.
has somebody said cheeseburger and they got the bad beat anyway? How many times has that happened?
Yeah, to my knowledge, never that I'm
None.
actually
Yeah.
familiar
That's
with.
why like I don't waste my brain energy on a code word there. I'm just like, if the bad beat happens, it happens. If it doesn't, like let's move on in life.
All right, I love it. All right, well, I mean, we could talk all night, man. I know we're already kind of coming up on the end of the show here. Oh, I'm getting a comment in the YouTube chat that Flamingo Pelican Cheeseburger all work in Illinois and in Northwest Indiana. Thank you,
Oh
Midwest
wow.
1811. So there are answers out there. Oh, Michael Miller says cheeseburger or flamingo for my games as well. So all right. So we got to have Midwest 11 and Michael on the show, is what I'm hearing about. They actually know how this is done, unlike some of our guests, Rob.
You reminded me of a story I want to tell real quick. We
Please.
used to do a show called the Poker Dome, and that's where we really got. We had a table that was interactive. So when I was pressing fold, it was actually changing the lights in front of you. It was crazy.
Ooh.
We had all this tech that like never made it out. But we had a lighting cue when the guy goes all in, it would like shine the lights on him. But the problem was everybody that was on the communications, the director's crews, everybody's like, "Oh, he should go all in." The word "all in" was always said, and the lighting guy was like, I can't listen for somebody saying all in because everybody's always saying all in. And we're like, what can we say that's never said? And somebody came up with Bora Bora. And
Ah,
so when somebody was actually all in, we would say Bora Bora on the microphone, and he would like shine the lights on him like a little spotlight. And it's like this thing that only like 50 people know about. But like anytime I see an all in, I'm always like Bora Bora. And it
that
makes
is
no sense.
awesome.
But yeah, a little code word for you there behind the
That
scenes.
That's perfect. Let me tease one more story out of you, and then we'll let
Yeah.
you go. Rob, what's one story that you have, like one thing that you've witnessed professionally or as a player, that's right on the edge of like, should I actually share this, or is it like too scandalous, or like not really appropriate for a PG rated show like ours? What's
I
one that's
have
close?
to this show, so just yeah.
I actually have a story that I was like, can I tell this story on the podcast? I was like, no,
Perfect,
I can't. I can't tell the
perfect.
story. I thought about it and I can't tell it. I was trying to figure out a way to tell the story without telling the story. Um, and the best I can do, let's see if I can phrase this without getting sued in a court of law. Whatever, we cover tournaments. We're like reporters, right? We're covering the tournament. Things happen. I see buttons move twice or not move at all, and if
Mm,
I can catch it, I say something to the dealer, but it happens so often, it's like whatever. um there was a major tournament that we covered. I don't know what year it was or where it was, but somebody got mispaid by like 5% or 10% of the chips in play on the all in at the final table of a very big tournament. Um, can't imagine a bigger tournament that might be there. And yeah, nobody caught it until the commercial break or whatever the break in the tournament. And then they go, "Did this happen?" And I go, "Yeah, I think that happened." And the guy that got shorted ended up winning the tournament anyway.
oh
So it
wow,
all worked
okay.
out, I guess. But butterfly effect, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was great. And like, I mean, things like that happen. We had a show on the Aria. I don't remember which one it was. And Doug Polk raises, somebody else calls, the flop comes out, and I'm waiting for the flop to come out in my software, which I have guys behind me, and I'm like, guys, where's the flop? What's going on? And they're like, there's two queen of diamonds on the flop. We can't type in the flop. And I was like, what? And I looked down, and sure enough, there's two queen of diamonds on the flop. And meanwhile, the guy checks Doug Polk's bet, and the other guy folded, and the dealer's about to push the pot, and there's 10 guys at the table on a live stream, and there's like 50 cameramen and directors, and we're the only ones that see it. And I stopped the dealer. I go, wait, don't do anything. And she's like, what? And then they realize what happened, and sure enough, there was two queen of diamonds out there.
Oh
Paul
man, well.
Campbell, Paul Campbell at the Aria.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I think,
Yeah,
for a lot of our listeners, we look in at these productions and the tournament series and these all things, and we kind of just have this notion that these are all run flawlessly and that like no mistakes ever happen. But of
yeah,
course mistakes happen. They're
yeah.
logistical nightmares putting these series together. And it's amazing that as little goes wrong as does. So what sort of who's the person that's most freaked out when something like that happens? Who's the person that's like the most worried about their job security and that kind of stuff when something like that happens?
I mean, honestly, that situation with the two queen of diamonds was like everybody was kind of like, yeah, that happened. And that was actually caused by TV. When a normal dealer comes in a normal game, they spread the deck and whatever, but we don't do that because we're coming back and dealing a hand. So like the decks were prepared. So it was because it was for television that mistake happened, that the cards weren't set up right, or
Interesting.
was two cards. But yeah, nobody was like, I mean, Paul Campbell was laughing about it. I got a picture somewhere that he sent me with the holding the spreading the deck, showing me the two queens. Those kind of things happen. I mean, we lost power one year at the World Series of Poker in the middle of the day. We were live streaming. The entire power went out in the production room, and that was the year they said, okay, we're gonna start running backup generators in case the power goes out. Um, like those things happen, and like I can't think of any scenario that we've had where anybody really lost their job. I mean, dealers make mistakes.
Sure.
We've heard that big one at the World Series where the dealer colored up all the chips and took all the chips in. I don't even know if they got fired. I don't know. They made a mistake, and somebody said, "Okay, there's a chance to educate them and show them what coloring up the chips means."
Yes.
And he didn't do it maliciously. So yeah, I can't think of anyone that somebody was worried about their job. It's just kind of like it is what it is. If I make a mistake and it goes to air, sorry. I mean, I made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean it's a
Never
lot
happened.
of people all doing their best.
Yeah,
Dealers, floor staff, vendors, everyone in the production room. Like it's a lot of people. And I guess the one
yeah,
moral of the story is like we tell people all the time, like it's up to each of you as a player to protect your action, to protect your hand, to be aware, to know the dealers are going to make mistakes occasionally about
yeah,
the size of the pot or misdealing something. And, we kind of all have to do our part to keep that straight. Um, Any kind of any tips for players that are newer to like the live experience for just how they can protect their information best or sort of like protect their interests best at the table?
Um, Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like watch where the button is and kind of know if the button moves and the dealer goes, "Hey, did we move the button?" You should know if you just paid the big blind. That shouldn't
Hmm.
be like, I think I paid it. Like you should know who raised under the gun. And like obviously 100% of the time, no, you're not gonna do it. Sometimes there's a guy next to you named Jim that's a fun conversation. You miss what's going on at the table. But like most of the time, I'm paying attention. I know where the button is. I know, this and that. The big one too, at the World Series, you've seen hands get mucked multiple times when they're all in. Galabama and pocket aces, pulled out from a chip that she had a chip on top of her cards and it just got snatched out. If I go all in, I got my cards in a death grip. You're not getting my cards. You can't accidentally muck my hand, especially if I'm in the 1 or the 10 seat. Like I'm holding my cards.
Mm.
It's I'm never letting go. Don't and like in a pot, I'm usually holding my cards and I'm putting them like right out front so everybody can see that I'm in the hand too, not like hiding them behind your chips where I didn't even know he was in the pot. My cards are out there. I'm holding them in my hand. You can see them all the time. So things like that, you kind of just like you get in a habit of like, let me always show them that I have cards here in front. Just like be aware of everything that's going on. Obviously, have fun and don't bog yourself down too much. But yeah, you should definitely know. Oh, I'm big blind next, and then if the button skips you, you should say something. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to be the big blind in this hand. Just kind of situational awareness, knowing what's going on, knowing stacks, how much does this guy have? This guy just doubled up and we just did a count on a stack. So you should probably know roughly how much he has this hand. Instead of going, how much does he have? He's like, well, he had 20,000. He just doubled up. So he's got 40,000 and change. Like, come on, guy.
That's good. Well, I like that one piece of advice, like just never let go of your hand until they slide the
Oh, yeah.
pot towards you. So we're gonna have to let go of you, unfortunately, in just a second here. I know, I'm having a great time too. It's like we never left.
Yeah.
It's like we never
Yeah.
left Paris. But before I do, so just give us the name of the YouTube channel again. It's so good. I love this for the
Yeah.
bomb pot thing.
Oops, all bomb path. I'm sorry. Oops, all bomb pots. All one word. And credit to my friend Jack with the Jack Ten of Hearts that he's the one that was like popularizing that name. And I'm like, I'm taking that. I already got a theme song from AI. We got some logos working. So you know, my goal was to like spend the next few months playing bomb pots and recording them, and then go to Europe for a month and just kind of be chilling out and doing some editing there,
Nice.
in the Airbnb. That's the goal. So I don't know how soon we'll have content, but the ideas are there. And like almost every bomb pot you play, you can discuss and be like, oh, I would have done this, I would have done this. Like they're all almost always so interesting.
Yeah, I love that. And like you say, you're kind of on the front end of people bringing that content out. So I think that's
Yeah.
even just whether you're right or not, having like a reasoned discussion about it feels like you're filling the void already. So I'm excited for that. All right, well, we're going to play Stake Study Stack, and then we're going to close the action with Rob here. First, I just want to thank our YouTube audience for sticking around. We're going to do a raffle at the end of the show to support a local food bank. And the reason that we do this is because it's kind of a difficult time in the world right now for a lot of folks, whether they're feeding themselves or putting some food on the table for their family or their children. You might be surprised who needs a little help. It might be someone in your neighborhood, someone in your community, someone that you might not expect. And I just want to encourage everyone, if you're watching now, if you're listening at home, pull out your smartphone and Google food banks near me, and you'll find a fantastic organization that can benefit from a few dollars out of your pocket, a few hours out of your week as a volunteer, or a few non-perishable food items from your pantry. And it's a great way to make a big difference in people's lives, is supporting your local food bank. And like I say, it's a tough time right now with Thanksgiving on the mind in the States in particular. It's a great time to get involved. And we're going to be doing a special announcement after the interview for some other fantastic ways that as poker players, you can not only support a local food bank, but also really benefit from some cool stuff that Joe Kulas has been organizing. So we'll talk just after the show. Anyway, so to enter the raffle, all you have to do is type the words food bank into the YouTube chat right now. So please do that while we play our goodbye games with Rob, and then we'll draw a winner closer to the end of the show. So yeah, go on ahead and just type the words food bank into the YouTube chat. All right. So we are going to play Stake Study Stack. Rob Perlman. I'm gonna take a couple names here that were suggested in the YouTube chat. There's some fun ones here, I think. So Stake Study Stack. I'm going to give you three names. You need to choose one to stake in a poker tournament or cash game, one to study with, and one that you'd like nothing more than to just stack them and take all their chips at the table. Are you ready?
I have a question though.
Okay.
I'm studying their play or I'm helping them study.
Ooh, I'd say you're like studying with them. They're like an active participant in your own study, someone you would like study along with.
You're like
Rob
a
Washington?
coach. You're like a coach.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who do you want to coach you?
Okay,
Mhm.
If you were
coach me.
to
Got it.
study.
I want because I'm like there's plenty of players. I'm like, oh, that guy, I need to have him study. But you're saying I'm gonna
Yeah.
study.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. It would be to
You're
your
studying
benefit.
with him.
Okay,
Yes,
very important.
exactly.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
So the three names that I've got here are Matt Savage,
Okay.
Jack Eiffel, and one of the 100-year-old dealers from the Binions. Your
Oh my
choice of
God,
which
so
one.
good. Wow. I can't stick any of those people. For those that don't know, Matt Savage is my buddy who's like tournament director for World Poker Tour, and I work with him for like 20 years. Man, he sucks at Hold'em. He's good at if hold on. I'm gonna stake him, but with a caveat, it has to be like an old man game like stud, like 7 card stud or Omaha high low. He's very good at those. So I'm gonna stake Matt. Okay, we're gonna get that one out of the way. Jack Effel is the World Series of Poker tournament director, and I don't know if I've ever seen him play a hand of poker. Um, we're gonna study with him. We're gonna help him out. We're gonna get in the lab. He's been around poker forever. He's got to be okay, I would assume. But yeah, I've never seen him play a hand of poker. I've only seen him say, "If you're calling 17, you're calling 22. Let's roll." Classic. Okay, and so I guess yeah, the 100-year-old dealer, we are gonna stack. And then they're gonna pass out and be done.
Yeah, that's typically cruel. Typically cruel
Yeah.
from what I understand about you as a person, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's close the action. So this is our speed round. So I'm just going to
Yes.
throw a bunch of rapid fire questions at you. You
I'm
don't
so nervous about this one.
Yeah. Oh, really? Well, wait. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Now you're really nervous.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
We have a soundboard. That's right.
The heart is racing.
So yeah, take a deep drink. You're gonna need it for this one. Again, just rapid fire. The
Okay.
first thing that comes
Yeah.
to your mind and
Yeah.
is true, you can pass. Okay.
Okay.
Start off with an easy one, Rob. What is your favorite poker hand?
Aces.
Is poker a gamble or a skill game?
Oh, skill game.
What's your biggest poker pet peeve?
Oh, I have so many. Players that tell the dealer what to do and they're wrong.
That's a good one. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
Is Ace King a drawing hand?
No.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Absolutely. We've
You
been
know
through
it's
this time and time again. And I just want to say, last night at Pecan Street Social, I said, I'm going to get this question. I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. And there was some confusion. There was some conversation, but I got mostly yeses.
Okay. For the audience, Rob was at the table the first time we did a poll. We actually polled everyone at the table. That was a good response.
For 4 hours. For 4 hours, we pulled them.
It was an enduring conversation. Yes.
Yeah.
What about a taco then? Is a taco a sandwich?
No.
Well, you draw some weird lines. All right. What's one thing you're afraid of, Rob Perelman?
Oh my gosh. Dying? Dying's a big one.
That's a big one. Should vacations be lazy or busy?
Lazy.
What's your favorite brick and mortar poker venue?
Oh, I mean, I've said it 3 times already. So yeah, the new room in downtown Austin, Pecan Street Social. It's amazing. Right on 6th Street.
What about a calzone? Is a calzone a sandwich?
No, I mean, hold on. Time out here. It's 2 pieces of bread with something in between. The taco is one whole shell, and the calzone is all enclosed. The hot dog is one piece. It's got a thin membrane, but it's 2 pieces.
Okay, so
Sorry.
a submarine sandwich would also be a sandwich by that rationale.
Absolutely. I mean, it's submarine sandwich. So
okay, well, what about
name.
what about an open face sandwich?
No.
But it's right in the name. I mean, be consistent, man. What? Come on.
I mean, I'm remembering our conversation now. We're like, if this guy raises and this guy re-raises behind me, am I sandwiched between them? And we kind of got silly with it. But like, yeah, you can call it an open face sandwich, but it's not a sandwich because it's in 2 pieces of bread. No, it's not. I mean, it's just they use the name. There's lots of things like this, but we're in speed round, so I can't talk about it.
I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. All right. Yellow light coming up. Slow down or speed up?
Speed up.
It's the final table of a tournament. Are you pro chop or no chop?
No chop.
Who's your poker nemesis?
Oh my God. My poker nemesis right now is this kid named Nick. He's hit so many rivers on me at Pecan Street. He runs so good against me. I haven't had one since like until like 2 weeks ago when he just started hitting every river on me. So yes,
Hmm.
Nick, I'm gonna get my money back.
All right. Last sandwich related question. Is an Oreo cookie a sandwich?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to stop the ticking because I have one more question for you, but you can take your time with this one. Excellent responses so far, by the way.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you.
what's one thing that we as a community can do to make poker more fun for recreational players, more welcoming for recreational players? How can we make the game more fun?
Oh, I mean, it's weird when you say like community because there's like to me two different communities. I'm playing in Texas and it is so welcoming to recreational. Everybody's having a good time. People are drinking, people are having a good time. Of course, there's people that are serious and wearing the uniform, the hoodie, the headphones, the sunglasses. But like most people are just there to gamble and have a good time. But then I go out to Vegas and it's like all serious business. And I'm out there to make money for sure, but we're having a good time. I'm out there having drinks, I'm giving loose action to the people that are giving you loose action. You got to make it fun and remember that like it's if you're playing poker professionally, it's a customer service job. You're there to make
Hmm.
everybody have a good time. I mean, literally last night when I left Pecan Street, one of the players in the game was like, "Oh, are you coming back tomorrow?" Blah blah blah. I took a bunch of money from him last night, but he likes gambling with me because I make it fun for him, and that's the goal. Like you want to remember we're having a good time even though I'm empty inside and I don't enjoy it, I pretend like I do and make it fun for everybody and joke around, and like, pass some jokes back and forth. So it's just kind of having a good mindset. And of course, if I take a few beats, I'm not in the greatest mood, but on the average day, I think I try to be jokey at the table and have a good time and make it pleasant for everybody.
No, great. That's a great answer, man. Well, I appreciate that. I'm just doing some quick math here. I get you
Yeah.
at 196 points, which is pretty good. That's
Out of
almost
how
up.
many?
It's a proprietary
Oh,
system that we
okay.
use here. I don't want to give away too
Was
much information.
is an Oreo a sandwich in your book? I just want to
Th-
know.
That got you the extra 2 points at the end there for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure
Yes,
that we're
let's
clear about that.
go.
Yeah, no, you should feel really good about it.
Rob's
Um,
shaking his head. I think he goes, "No, it's not. It's an Oreo cookie sandwich." I'm pretty sure that might be on the label.
I'm shaking my head over the algorithm that he uses to come up with these
Oh,
scores.
it
yeah.
it it may be influenced by Clive Anderson's approach on whose line is it anyway. That's the most I'll say about that.
I'm pretty
It's
sure that
it,
you're looking at your blood pressure index. That's the number you're looking at right there.
Well, I definitely my blood pressure spiked today for sure because this was such a fun interview. Rob Perlman, if folks want to reach out and say thanks for coming on the show or that they enjoyed your
Yep.
material, probably the former. Let's be honest. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you these days? At Twitter, so other social media. Obviously, they'll check out the YouTube channel, but where are you and how can people hang out
Yeah,
with
I
you?
mean mostly Instagram for me. I'm don't call Rob on Instagram. And if you want to hit me up there, of course, you got the Oops All Bomb Pod account is live with no content. So either of those, um, always happy to talk and answer questions. And like, I'm always telling stories at the table about all the hands I've been behind the scenes for every major hand, in the history. So I love chatting about the time I've spent behind the scenes. Happy to do so.
Well, awesome, and genuinely, thank you for coming on the show. And it's taken us too long to put this together, but I hope our paths cross again sometime real soon because you're a very fun guy, and I like hanging out with
Yeah.
you.
Did you win that bracelet, by the way, in that event we played? You won it, right?
Tragically, still braceletless.
Yeah,
But I'm
me
going to go
too.
back next year and try. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Jim
me
won
too.
the bracelet. Some of the people that had helped stake him would not be sitting here with just one guitar.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Fair.
probably true. That's probably
I
true.
found your first
Uh,
problem, mistaken Jim. I mean, what are you thinking?
I say, I got to
No,
keep
you.
my.
I have to say it now. You played, if I remember correctly, you played pretty damn well for what you call an amateur. I mean,
oh, thank you, thank you.
I, I
Yeah,
think I think you and I both made no mistakes. I remember one hand where I folded ace queen on an ace high board that was pretty tough against an obvious set, or did I not fold? I forget. Did
I
I?
think you
Did
didn't
I?
fold, and you were beating yourself up for it later.
Yeah, yeah.
But honestly, yeah, like I remember, you obviously are a very high level player. and I enjoyed playing next to you for
Yeah.
sure.
No, you played great, and I'm sure we'll sit together again sometime this summer, and we'll both play great and not win a bracelet again.
That's that. You know what? That actually sounds like a lot of fun. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's see.
Love it.
Let's see what we can do. All right,
Okay.
Rob Perlman, thank you again, my man. We're gonna
Thank
continue
you.
talking about some home game results and some other cool stuff. But thanks again. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, John Somsky, why don't you take us through some recent home game results, and we will give away a fantastic prize and roll on out of here.
All right, on November 18th, Kel Brown 73 got his or her first nightly victory. M. Babker,
Congrats.
Michael Babker, got his fifth nightly victory for the year. Rabman 50, Rob Washam, got his first nightly victory for the year.
Ooh, wow,
Kathy
right.
Chain, or Aces 54320, Kathy Chang got her sixth nightly victory for the year. A really mad guy, got his seventh nightly victory for the year. Bruce K54, Bruce Kiefer, got his sixth nightly victory for the year. Marcel, or Bone Crusher 14, Marcel Dusick, got his second daily mixed victory. And then Evil Roy CA, David Westerveld, got his fourth international victory for the
Of
year.
course.
Kumbinkly, Eric Jin got his
Ooh.
second international victory for the year. And then M. Babker, Michael Babker, won the LPP event. So he can contact info@rec.poker for his free month of Learn Pro Poker. And that is his second LPP victory this year.
Amazing. Yeah, so folks, oh, Rob?
I want to put a shout out to Kathy Chang. I mean, I don't know if anybody else is following her, but she's on Learn Pro Poker School and she puts out what she's doing. She plays everything all the time and she's crushing mixed game tournaments all over the place. And then she shows up on a Rec Poker home game and crushes us players too. I mean, the gal just can't stop playing poker and she's very, very good and she loves the mixed games. So I just want to give a shout out to Kathy. Way to go.
Yeah, congratulations. I actually bumped into Kathy down at the Mixed Game Festival while I was down that Robbie Straczynski was running. I was hanging out with Chad McVean and Robbie and Mike Patrick and bumped into Kathy. There is no stranger to the mixed games. Of course, if you're a regular listener to the podcast, you'll find some of her tips in our mixed game series. And yeah, she's lighting the world on fire. It's nice to see her still coming in and playing with some of the recreationals in the Rec Poker Home Game Club. So good call out. That's fantastic. And yeah, to just point out what John was saying, every Sunday is the Learn Pro Poker game in our home game club, and whoever wins the tournament on Sunday, the tournaments are free to enter, folks. Play money tournament, play money home game club, but the prizes are real. If you win on Sunday, you get a free month at Learn Pro Poker. So I hope that you do send that email to info@rec.poker, and we'll get you all sorted out with your prize. The other prize that we're going to give away today to help out someone who's typed the word food bank into the YouTube chat. Rob Washam, do you have a particular learning partner that we're working with this week?
I think we're going to go again with pokercoaching.com. They have a huge sale going on through Sunday. So we want to make sure that everybody takes advantage of that Black Friday sale that they have going on. And the winner of our food bank drawing this week will win a free month of pokercoaching.com.
All right, fantastic. So we're going to roll a die here and see who the winner is. But first, we've got some other cool news. Joseph Kulas, the one and only Dr. Cool PhD. You've had this really interesting idea. I'm so excited about it. Why don't you jump in here and pull the curtain back for our audience?
Sure. Well, so one of the things I found most cool about working with Rec Poker is the desire to do good in the community, particularly with regards to very specific donations to organizations that do very direct care. So sometimes we tend to give money, a lot of times, to large organizations which have overwhelming administrative costs and things like that associated. And food banks are different because typically they're volunteer run. They have some grant money that comes in from the states, but then a lot of it comes directly from the donations. And a great deal of the money that you give to a food bank is going to go directly into people's bellies, essentially. And there's nothing better than that. And there's nothing more than when somebody doesn't have food that they need. We've talked a lot about it, but Thanksgiving is coming up. So one of the things that I wanted to do was to leverage some of my fundraising knowledge from some other areas of my life to be able to encourage people to give more money. Getting people to give money is actually very hard. It can be very generous, but they oftentimes need some incentives in terms of, well, why am I giving this? What, I don't want to say what's in it for me, but it's like it like encourages it. So I've run a number of silent auctions in the past. And so what I decided to do was to see if I could obtain some items from some people that are on RecPoker that support our mission, who are active in the poker community. And I started out with Dara Carney and to see, well, what's Dara known for? And you could certainly say, well, okay, well, he has teaching materials and books and things like that. But that's kind of dull, right? I mean, if I want to go buy Dara's book, I can just go buy Dara's book. But what if you could own Dara's shirt?
Ooh.
Dara's shirt. Wouldn't you want to bid on Dara's shirt? And so I reached out to Dara and I said, now, can you donate one of your shirts to our auction? And he said yes. And he said he would sign the shirt. And he had a good time in terms of actually picking out, he had his wife pick out the shirt and he's going to mail it to us. And so I said, well, let me see if I can get some other people. So the next person I reached out to was Carlos Welch. I don't know a lot of people in the poker community, but I know Carlos and talked to him multiple times. And I said, hey, Carlos, would you, is there some, I want to just have something that says Carlos Welch. They said, would you sign a Prius, like a model Prius, and then let us sell that in our silent auction? He said, yes. So we have a model Prius from Carlos Welch that he's going to sign. And so I just started reaching out to a number of people, and I'd like to be able to share my screen because I'm pretty impressed in terms of the number of people that I was able to get to donate. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see this yet because the site isn't up live yet. Can you see the screen, Jim?
Yeah, it's coming through now. Got it.
So we have, for instance, Alex Assassinato Fitzgerald is donating a death metal Arby's shirt that he is willing to sign that speaks to his career. Andrew Brokus is going to doodle in a book, and he's willing to actually, if you send him a picture of you, he will doodle you in the book, sign it, and then send it to you. Brian Winter, and I'm only choosing these, kind of randomly. It's all of them are great, right? Brian Winter, the Golden Blazer, is donating Brian Winter's Golden Blazer, the one that he wore, and we have pictures of it online. There's Dara O'Carney. Clayton Fletcher is donating the jacket that he wore in his deep WSOP run that was seen, and per his quote, was on ESPN more frequently than LeBron James. Even our own Jim Reid is going to, he probably doesn't know about the second part, but he's donating some coaching, and he's also going to put in the secrets of sandwich making because that's one of his great skills.
You got some inside tips there you can't find anywhere else. It's true. Exclusive content simply purely for this fundraiser.
But Joey Engram is donating, Ryan LaPlante. Laura Eisenberg is donating one of the neatest hats that I've seen. It's this great big top hat that's woven, and it has these cards in it, and it's just fantastic. I mean, I would have a hard time not bidding on it myself. Slow Poker is donating the shirt he wore on Max Payne Monday and some card protectors that he has. And we're not done yet, folks. I'm still getting people who are writing me and saying, yeah, absolutely. For those people who are more interested in more straightforward things, Barry Carter's donating some of his poker satellite strategy books. Gavin Mathers is donating poker acceleration coursework for you. Let's see. Oh, and AJ Rudolph is donating 2 hours of poker coaching along with homework that she was very kind to do. So there's really kind of something for everybody. And again, keep in mind, all of this is not because we're trying to open a store, right? RecPoker is not taking a dime from any of this. I've donated all my time. Jim and I had talked, and we're not trying to do this as a means of driving things to the site. This is totally a charitable opportunity for us, and I couldn't be more happy in terms of how things are going. So the auction is going to run from December 2nd until December 16th. I originally was going to go 1 week, but we've got so many items and there's so many more things going on that I decided to extend it for a little while. There are going to be new items coming up, so you want to keep returning to the site repeatedly in order to see what new items that we have held back and what's going to be available. You're going to find something that you'll like. You're going to find something that's pretty cool, and you're going to find something that probably nobody else will ever have. And how rare is it that you could have a piece of poker history that nobody else has? The site is going to be at givebutter.com / Rec Poker FB, one word. So Rec Poker Food Bank. I'm going to try to promote it through Twitter as well as on the website and through Blue Sky. And then we'll try to allocate networks so that people can be aware. But try to bring as many people as you can and bid on these things. Remember, all the money that you give is going to a food bank. You get to feel good and you get something cool out of it.
Right on, Joe. This is great. I'm so glad that you're doing this. I'm so proud that Rec Poker can assist. And yeah, we'll make sure that that link is in the show notes for this episode as well. And we'll also be mentioning this again on the next couple weeks of shows, so that live listeners can make sure that they don't miss the opportunity to go in and check that out. So yeah, folks, help your local food bank and get some cool poker stuff. Like some of the stuff is really not available any other way. There's some very, very interesting, fun, unique items here. So thank you to you, Joe, and thank you for the people that you're working with who are donating this stuff and being such good sports for such a good cause. All right, well, let's give away a prize of our own here. One of the learning partners that we work with here, as Rob Washam mentioned, pokercoaching.com. I'm just going to run down the list of the YouTube chatters who have entered the raffle. It's John Doe, Midwest 1811, Joseph Walton, Blue Jewel, K Poker Wannabe, Michael Miller, the RRCCC, JD Malay, and then I see Joe Rafter. That's 9. So I've got a 10-sided die here, and if we roll a 10, I will donate $20 to a local food bank of my choosing up here in Ontario. And otherwise, we're going to give away a fantastic prize to number 8, which I think is JD Malay. All right. Well, congratulations, Joe. You're going to love it. I hope I didn't just dox JD Malay, but it's Joe Malay. He's a
Yeah.
premium member and a great guy.
And he's the guy that won last week's food bank
Oh,
drawing for the same prize. So we'll
whoa.
have to do
Okay.
something a little different for him this week.
All right. Yeah, we'll get our crack team over at info@rec.poker to figure something out. Thank you, crack team. Joe, please send that email to claim your prize. And thanks to everyone for getting involved. Oh, we also have
And
we do have,
I want to
oh yeah,
just
Rob.
say, Joe, go out and buy a lottery ticket because your luck is running pretty high.
That's
Maybe get involved in some real poker as opposed to the home game. I think it's time. Go
that's
out there
right.
and get it, man.
Go get it. Go get it. And I totally forgot. We also have some other exciting news. I was speaking to John Barrows at Running Aces, and we have some dates for the next Rec Poker weekend at Running Aces. This is going to be on January 31st to February 1st. It's the last weekend in January, the first weekend in February. I'm going to be flying out there on Thursday. Friday is going to be chock full of different kinds of special tournaments. Might have a meetup cash game. We're going to have some opportunities to support a local food bank. Saturday, much the same, some extra special tournaments on Saturday. We'll have a big old fun time Saturday night. I expect a few ales might find their way past our lips. And then Sunday, we'll just sort of like hang out a bit, maybe play some more cash and fly on home or drive or however y'all get around. For me, it's flying. I'm looking forward to. I get to Minnesota about twice a year, and I'm always glad I do. So thanks to Running Aces for being a great sponsor and a wonderful partner in making the recreational poker world a better place. And I'm really looking forward to spending some time out there at the end of January, the beginning of February. So circle your calendars, folks, and get on out there. We are going to have some special room rates if you're not a local. We can arrange probably a discounted hotel room for you for some of the Rec Poker members that are coming on out there. And we'll have more information on the Rec Poker calendar, of course, as it gets closer. But I'm really excited for this, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, without further ado, thank you again to Running Aces for
One
their
more.
support.
Can,
Oh, yeah,
can
Rob.
I add one more thing?
Sure can.
This is the last week of the Club WPT Gold drawing
Mm.
for their $5 million free roll.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't yet, sign up to Club WPT Gold and use the code RECP, and you will be entered into a drawing for that $5 million free roll. So again, this is the last week. The drawings are happening on Wednesday. So get involved.
Get
That's
in
it.
there. All right, and thanks to Joseph Kulas for the reminder to reshare my computer audio, because that we're actually might go under. We might go under the over under on audio issues, on technical issues. On I shouldn't say it until we're actually out of here, but
I bet the under, so I had to make sure that maybe inside this might be illegal, but
good. No, I'll take it. I appreciate. Trust me. I need all the help I can get. So thank you so much to Rob Perelman. That was a pleasure. I'm glad we finally got him. Rob Washam, John Somsky, Joe Kulas. We couldn't do it without you. Everyone at Running Aces, everyone else on the RECing Crew, all our premium members, the YouTube chatters. Thanks for coming out this week, and you at home. We couldn't do it without you either. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on the RecPoker Podcast.